Hi everyone, my name is Gabriel and this is the Hour of the Raven, your channel for everything Ravenloft, RPG, Dungeons and Dragons and horror. Today we will explore the past and secrets of Alfred Timothy, the cruel Dark Lord of Verbrek and High Priest of the Fate of the Wolf God. Are you ready? We are taken as prisoners of the werewolves to the dense forest of Verbrek. Our destination is the Circle, a place marked by a circle of rocks, with runes and marks of claws and blood. Trapped in the center of an altar of sacrifices, we are surrounded by hundreds of werewolves, until a young man with a frail appearance approaches us and transforms into a large werewolf of silver hair. The high priest began the ritual to the wolf god, and we will be offered as sacrifice. Howl of the Raven. Howl with me, Moon Brothers, for tonight we will satisfy the hunger of the great wolf god. Tonight we will hunt, kill, and feast on the flesh of our prey. Give in to your primitive instincts and abandon all pity and remorse, becoming one with the beast within. We are the supreme masters of the wild, and all creatures are prey to be devoured, or rivals to be slaughtered. Alfred Timothy is the Dark Lord of Verbrek. He is a werewolf and the high priest of the fate of the wolf god. The domain of Verbrek adapts the myths of the curse of lycanthropy, with the werewolves in their central role. Alfred Timothy is the Dark Lord, who represents the most monstrous aspects of this myth. Alfred is a natural-born lycanthrope, being the son of the infamous werewolf Nathan Timothy, the former Dark Lord of the domain of Arkandale. Although he is now over 50 years old, in his human form, Alfred appears to be a fragile-looking young man, wearing simple robes from a Verbreker commoner, with pale skin and disheveled chestnut hair. Some details in his appearance hint to the dark side of his soul, like the predatory glitter in his eyes, his absence of shadow, and the sneer that looks like a snarl on his mouth when he is dealing with humans. In his wolf form, he becomes a wolf with white fur and a dire size, of great beauty and elegance. Finally, his favorite form is the hybrid form, in which he transforms into a monstrous silver-haired werewolf, who sometimes wears ritual robes of the high priest of the wolf god, made from human leather, feathers and bones. He carries no possession with him, except a gold amulet in the shape of a crescent moon. Alfred sees werewolves as a superior race, and believes that all humanity is just cattle, prey to satisfy the hunger of superior creatures. He despises other creatures as inferiors, and is a religious fanatic to the fate of the wolf god. Among werewolves, he is the high priest and the undisputed leader of the werewolves in Verbrek, the supreme alpha. Although he has not yet been defeated, and is a dangerous opponent, Alfred uses his cunning and wisdom to his advantage, using strategy and intelligence to defeat his challengers. As a werewolf, Alfred can only be wounded by silver or enchanted weapons. His post of high priest and cleric of the wolf god give him access to several divine spells. He is always accompanied by several wolves and werewolves of his pack, and he usually lets his pack members to fight in his place, while he assists them with divine blessings of the wolf god. Alfred is very resistant to magic, and can shadow walk, being able to disappear and emerge in any shadow of Verbrek. Despite these powers, Alfred hides a terrible secret and weakness. Although he is a natural werewolf, able to shapeshift at will, he carries a curse. Whenever Alfred suffers strong emotions like anger, lust or fear, he automatically returns to his fragile human form. All Alfred wants as a religious fanatic is to indulge the dogmas of his faith and give in to his savagery and primitive instincts, but he needs to restrain himself of strong emotions, otherwise he will reveal his weakness to the werewolves of Verbrek. As a result, Alfred lives in frustration and restraint, and has become cold, calculating and methodical. Alfred is unable to close the borders of his domain like the other Dark Lords, but he can command the thousands of wolves and werewolves that inhabited Verbrek to hunt his prey and enemies. But what led this werewolf to become this cursed creature, the High Priest of the Wolf God and Dark Lord of Verbrek? Alfred Timothy is a natural-born werewolf. He was born in 709 of the Barovian Canada, and comes from a lineage of powerful werewolves from Mordant. He is the son of Nathan Timothy, the former Dark Lord of the domain of Arkandale. Nathan Timothy is the captain of the ship Virago, and made his fame as an explorer and merchant on the rivers of the lands of the mists, until his evil crimes got the attention of the Dark Powers, and he became the Dark Lord of Arkandale. He married Priscilla Schilling, with whom he had 6 children, among them the young Alfred Timothy, one of the weakest and most fragile child born of this union. Alfred's mother, Priscilla, died when he was just 4 years old, in 713 of the Barovian Canada, when she threw herself off the boat and drowned in the river. Nathan never had time for his son. The cruel captain presents himself as a friendly and boisterous captain, but he is a dangerous and cruel werewolf who used his proximity to humans to do business and kill in secret. Alfred felt hatred for Nathan, and he knew he would never be a match for his strong and imposing father. He felt contempt and disdain for Nathan's friendly relationships with humans. He believed in wolf supremacy and that humans were just cattle, existing only to satisfy their needs and hunger. His hatred and rejection of his father and humanity made him left his family clan and go on his own way. Alfred married a distant cousin, Winifred Radcliffe, with whom he also had a few lupine children. Alfred, however, felt a great emptiness and frustration, and began to wander around Arkandale, where he sometimes gave in to his murderous fury, massacring human settlements in his path. In Arkandale, a domain filled with wolves and werewolves, many human settlements made offerings and sacrifice to the Wolf God, an ancestral entity, to prevent wolf attacks. When Alfred discovered this ancient belief of the people of Arkandale, he was fascinated and obsessed with the idea that this deity represented his beliefs in wolf supremacy. Alfred began to make sacrifices and offerings to the Wolf God, hoping to become his first priest, but the deity did not answer his prayers. Believing that the human settlements that revered the Wolf God hid secrets from him, Alfred sought them out, terrified their acolytes, and devoured everyone who failed to entrust him with the secrets of this monstrous fate. Frustrated and maddened, he gave in into a murderous rampage, killing people and animals that crossed his path, and destroying the altars of the Wolf God. After satiating his hunger and madness, he fell asleep amid the carnage, and was found by villagers who imprisoned him. Alfred would be burned at a stake by the enraged mob, when an old Vistani woman and her daughter entered the village and paid a large sum of money to buy Alfred's life from the angry mob. The old Vistani woman had seen the future and predicted that Alfred would become a feared Dark Lord. She offered Alfred a deal. She would set him free, provided that in return he always granted safe passage to any Vistani who crossed his path and domain. Alfred agreed with the offered deal, but as soon as he was set free, he transformed into his hybrid bestial form, attacked and murdered the old Vistani. as the young doctor of the Vistani ran from the werewolf, the mist surrounded Alfred and took him to Verbrek, where he would become the new Dark Lord. Verbrek's untouched forests were located to the south of Arkandale, the domain of his father Nathan Timothy. The new lands, unveiled by the mists, reflected Alfred's own dark soul, and were inhabited by countless clans of werewolves, all fervent worshippers of the wolf god. Alfred discovered that as a Dark Lord, he had finally connected with the wolf god, and became the high priest of the faith. Supreme leader of the Verbrek werewolf clans, he could finally implement his dream of wolf supremacy and make Verbrek the idyllic land of the wolves. However, Alfred also discovered the terrible curse that had accompanied him for his cruel acts. The powerful werewolf would immediately transform into a fragile human whenever he was overcome by strong emotions such as fear, lust, or fury. This weakness was the very antithesis of his violent and bestial fate, and Alfred believed that such failures were a punishment from the wolf god and a test of his fate for his doubts and humanity. In response, he redoubled the fanaticism of his faith in an attempt to purge any sign of his humanity, but he is unable to fully give in to his bestial instincts during rituals, on the pain of becoming a fragile human. This curse prevents him from finding a new mate and forces him to murder all those who have already witnessed his unwilling transformation into a human. He hides these secrets at all costs, knowing that the discovery would disqualify him as the high priest of the wolf god, and weaken him before other werewolves who intend to challenge him as the supreme alpha. He became cold, methodical, and calculating. Cunning and wise, he commands the werewolves with the authority of his divine powers, and surrounds himself with a powerful pack that follow his lead and commands. During the events of the Grand Conjunction, the mists rose, and when they finally receded, Verbrek's domain had expanded and absorbed the domain of Arkandale, the lands that were the territory and domain of Nathan Timothy. Alfred interpreted this event as a blessing from the wolf god, and a personal victory against his father, for whom he held great hatred and contempt. Since then, he has redoubled his efforts and the brutality of his macabre rituals to the wolf god, and he knows that his father now roams free, sailing the rivers of the demiplane of dread. He longs for the opportunity to show Nathan how powerful he has become with the fate of the wolf god, but secretly fears to confront his father. Tied to a sacrifice table, we are surrounded by werewolves, and we notice the high priest Alfred Timothy, the huge silver-haired werewolf, conducting his macabre ritual. A werewolf approaches us and bites our shoulder, digging its fangs into our flesh. With a fierce gleam in his eyes, Alfred reveals that tonight a hunt would happen in honor of the wolf god. We will have a half-hour lead before all Verbrek werewolves and wolves begin to hunt us. If we escape, we will earn our lives and perhaps achieve the blessing of lycanthropy. Or else we will be devoured as offering to the wolf god. Unarmed, we are released from our bonds and free through the wood. Soon, we hear the killer howls of the beasts on our heels. Our sprint is useless, since our pursuers are faster and know the secrets of Verbrek closed woods. Those of us who still have magical powers use their last resources to cast powerful spells against the beasts, eliminating some of the monsters that chase us. Still, we are outnumbered, and we are surrounded by werewolves on the edge of a gorge. With no way out, we took a desperate leap from the gorge towards a river. Swallowed by the turbulent waters, we fought against drowning, and luckily We spot a boat crossing its waters, and we sought help from the lone captain of the ship. Join us, subscribe to this channel, and together we will discover the identity of the mysterious lone captain who sails along the rivers of Verbrek. As a religious fanatic is to indulge the dogmas of his faith and give in to his savagery and primitive instincts, but he needs to restrain himself of strong emotions, otherwise he will reveal his weakness to the werewolves of Verbrek. As a result, Alfred lives in restrained and frustrated. Alfred lives in a restrained and frustrated way, and need to be As a result, Alfred lives in a restrained and frustrated. Alfred lives in frustration and restraint, and has become cold, calculating, and methodical.